Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And today I have the one, the only Jay Dee Walters on the show. This guy is a business owner, entrepreneur, a director, an actor, a producer. This guy has it all going on. So make sure you do two things. Number one, I would really appreciate it if you share this out with everybody you know. And number two, just click that little share button, that share button. And number two, stay with us because we'll be right back. And I'm going to have the one and only Jay Dee Walters on the show. Stay with us. Let me bring Jay on and let's break through some walls. Jay, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate you inviting me.
I am honored to have you here. Look at this. We already got Bridget watching.
Loyal fan there.
Bridget's awesome, man. I every time I see her, I have to bring it up. Like, she can yell. Woo! She said, I wasn't yelling. I was projecting.
You have to have someone on set doing that, though, because time gets away with you pretty quick.
I know she's awesome. So listen, I started this show. I guess it's been about 5 years ago. She's laughing now. It's been I think in April it'll be 5 years. So and it was really probably for selfish reasons. I was kind of stuck in life and I wanted to hear how other people got unstuck in life. So that's why I started the show. And man, it's been so awesome. So listen, why don't we start with you talking about where you were born and raised? Where did it all begin for you?
Absolutely. Well, I was born in Houston, Texas, 1968, to mom and dad, Joe and Floyd Walters. Lived the first part of my 10, 11 years there, and then my parents become missionaries in Honduras. So we moved to Honduras, where I lived probably for the next 10 years. Wow. Met my wife there, and it was a wonderful place to grow up. People were wonderful. I wouldn't trade the experience for nothing in the world. You know, people didn't have a lot there, but they had big hearts. And, I'll tell you a quick story because I have to tell a story about Honduras. One of the last times when I was probably about 12 years old, me and my family were traveling in vehicles full of furniture. Well, one of them was an old bread truck, and it was full of furniture. And it was being driven by, and I forgot the man's name, and my parents were in a car in front of us. And I was actually riding with my parents, and my mom and dad said, go trade with your brother. I have 4 brothers and 1 sister. Deanna, I think, who's actually on here. Said, go trade with your brother. And I couldn't find my shoes. So I jumped out of the car and we traded. And I was in this bread truck. It was just the front part of it. There was my older brother and this gentleman and me. Anyway, we come into a white, and they're making larger trucks go one way. This is in Honduras, and smaller vehicles go a different way because we were working on a new road. Make a long story short, we got separated, and it was night, and the gentleman who was driving was a little bit afraid to stop just anywhere to get gas. So he decided we're going to keep going, and he was almost out of gas. Well, we get about 30 minutes down the road, and he says, we got to turn around. We're going to run out of gas. And this is probably 10 o'clock at night, pitch dark.
Wow.
So he starts backing up, and he backs up, and we don't know whether we're going off a mountain or whether we're going, we don't know. Anyway, it ends up being in a ditch, breaks the axle. So we're stuck in the ditch overnight.
Oh my God.
So we all kind of sleep, or kind of didn't sleep. But there's a reason for this long story. It's because I want to tell you the heart of Honduras. So we wake up in the morning, from what little sleep we had. And it is just villagers coming from everywhere, riding bicycles, walking, and everything else. And it was just, it came alive. It was beautiful. So we said, okay, I guess we're going to have to try to walk back. There was a gas station, probably not that far back, and I didn't have no shoes. So I'm having to walk barefoot and, to choose my brother and this gentleman. So we start walking, and lo and behold, this guy on a bicycle comes, and he spoke a little bit of English, because at this time I didn't speak a whole lot of Spanish. And he asked us what was going on. I guess he saw the truck, and he says, well, I can help you. And he puts me on the back of his bike, and he rides me to town. And it ends up being the mayor's son, the mayor of this little town.
What?
Yes, this is how God works in places. But they end up helping us call the United States so we can get in contact with my parents, find out where they were. And they went and bought this poor missionary kid some shoes.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. So that was one of my first experience with the Heart of Honduras. I mean, the people are just loving, and they had to give you the shirt off your back, and so lots of love from my Honduras family.
And how long were you there?
The first time I lived there till I was about 22. And my parents were there. They had moved to El Salvador, and now they're back in the U.S., but they were probably there a little longer. Wow. I actually have a brother that still lives there. Wow. My wife's from there. She's from Honduras. She's my high school sweetheart. We met back in 86, I think. And
wow.
It took me a long time, but I did convince her to say yes.
Yeah, right.
So, but that's. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just curious. Like, when you say you went on a mission there, what's that mean? How?
Well, my father is a missionary. So he was working with an organization. His organization is called American Harvesters. And at the time, what he was doing is that Nicaragua had a lot of refugees coming into Honduras, and at the time, his mission was always to help existing churches and to help the refugees in Honduras. So he was bringing in things for the refugees, and he was also bringing support to existing churches. And that's kind of always been his mission, not necessarily to go build new churches, but to go and try to be a support system for those existing churches. And wow. I forgot how many countries he's been to, but it's quite a bit of countries. But
that's so awesome, man. That's so awesome. So you were there till, you said 22?
So about 21 is when I moved back, because my sweetheart said she would marry me, but her dad pretty much told me, well, how are you going to support her? He wouldn't let me marry without supporting her. So I moved back and stayed with my grandmother for a period, and went to school and worked as a cook, and wow. And until I could get a little bit to go pick up my bride and bring her back to Texas, and which is what we did. And I remember we came and stayed with my grandmother for the first couple of months, and finally got our own apartment, and got down to our last $50 before we found jobs. Sometimes that's just the way it works. And
were you in Texas?
Yes, Longview, Texas.
Longview. Okay. So you were, how long were you here before you went back and picked up your bride?
I was here for about a year and a half. I mean, I'd go back for the holidays.
Wow.
And so I would see her, and we would talk on the phone. Wasn't cheap to talk on the phone in those days, because we didn't have the internet, but so we'd talk maybe once or twice a month. But we dated so long that I knew that she'd be there waiting for me. I wasn't worried about that.
Wow.
And I know she wasn't worried, because she knew I was the one getting a good deal out of this. I married up. Let me put you that way.
That's awesome, man. So you came back. You said you both got. Now, how was her English? Did she speak English?
Yeah. My wife had actually lived in New York or Long Island for a period of time.
Oh, wow.
So she spoke probably better English than I do. I know she could write it and read it better than I can. Still can. constantly correcting my spelling because I'm a terrible speller.
I think that's what wives are for. That's one of
Right.
their primary functions in life, is to correct our spelling.
Well, my wife has a lot of correcting to do.
So you went and picked her up, brought her back. Y'all got married, I'm assuming here, or did you get married in Honduras?
Well, we actually got married in Honduras, and that's another funny story. We got married 3 times.
Wow.
And
Okay. Third time's a charm.
Yeah, in Honduras, you have to be married basically by a lawyer or a justice of peace. And then my dad married us, and then a week later we had a Catholic wedding. So I got married 3 times, but I didn't get to start the honeymoon until the 3rd wedding for some reason. I don't know what that was all about.
Wow.
But
so,
I figured now. I mean, I guess if my wife ever wanted to divorce me, it's going to cost me 3 times as much.
right. You're going to be homeless. She'll be sitting well.
Yeah, I'll be like that old country record you play backwards.
Yeah, right.
Or forward.
So when you got back, wow, look at this. Where did that come from?
That
must be out on the internet or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. One of my friends.
So you said you lived at your grandmother's house for the first couple of months until you got a job. Were you going to college?
I was, I kind of piecemealed my education. I got a technical degree in computer operations the first thing. I actually started college in Honduras and in Spanish, and it ended up being too hard for me. And so I came back and went to school here. But I continued getting my education over the years too, and my wife as well. When our first jobs, though, my wife was working at a convenience store late at night, and I was working for a place called Sabine Valley here. I wasn't even at home 5 days a week. I lived with 3 men who needed assistance, and so Monday through Friday I would live with them to help them do grocery shopping, and that was my job for the first 6 months that I worked after we were married.
Wow.
And then I was fortunate enough that my cousin's wife got a job at a telecom company, and that kind of changed everything because I went to work there and then eventually became a customer, then eventually a competitor of theirs. Now we're not competitors anymore. We're actually a customer again. But
wow,
we started the telecom business in 1995, I think, and I was married in 91, so about 4 years later.
So telecom, I mean, that's a broad range of services, right? So what is that? What do you do, or what did you start doing back then?
Well, what we were doing at first is we were reselling another company, and what we were doing, if you were traveled internationally, because all of my family members spoke Spanish, and that helped. If you traveled internationally and you needed to call home, you would have to go through an operator. Well, back in the 90s, telecom has kind of changed and really opened up for everybody that wanted to get into it. So what we were selling is a revenue share program with the hotels. When people call back, if they prefer our service, we would give them a share of the revenue. And that's how we started.
Wow.
And that was pretty much our business until probably 2005. Then we started focus. We did a shift. We had in business, sometimes things go south, and we had a relationship that went south. So we ended up having to change our strategies so that we could, move on. So we ended up targeting payphones, which was what the company that we were supporting before was doing. But we broke off and built our own call center, I guess what you can call it at the time. And we're doing payphones. And then, of course, cell phones changed everything again.
Yep.
No one uses a payphone anymore. So now our primary focus, well, actually our only focus, is we provide telecom services to correctional facilities. We allow video visitation, messaging, and phone calls to family members, and because it's in a correctional facility, it has to be locked down and restricted. and stuff like that. But that's what that business currently does, and we'll be celebrating, I think, our 27th year this year. So it's
Wow.
yeah.
You have seen some changes.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm trying to remember, because I remember AT&T used to own everything, and then everything kind of got deregulated, and was that when you kind of got into it? Was back then, or?
Well, I went to work for a company who kind of got into it, but after that.
Okay.
And then me and my business partner kind of, at first were selling their products, and then we broke off and formed our own telecom. We're a small telecom company, but it's a really niche market.
Yeah.
We've been very fortunate that we've had coworkers who've been with us for over 20 years, the vast majority of them. So it really helps out.
And you do this in prisons, jails,
it's all
the above?
Yeah, it's all centralized. It's actually our facility is located in Longview, but the internet's changed everything. Now everything is transferred over voice over IP, voice over the internet, and that's how they get into us. Or even the video is the same way. Kind of like this call we're doing right now. We actually provide a service similar to this for the inmate to communicate with his family members.
Wow.
Which was really a good thing during COVID, because during COVID it was locked down, and so the only way they could actually see their family face to face was to do something like a video call.
Right. It's the only way a lot of people can see their family, like not just those incarcerated.
Well, on that business, I have taken about 2 years ago, decided to kind of take a little bit less of a daily role there, and my business partner continues to run it. So while I'm still involved, I'm not really involved in the day-to-day operations anymore.
So, and I know I actually knew that about you. So when you obviously, I've heard about your house. I heard it's a pretty nice little joint you got going there. So you've obviously done well in business. When you talk about the why you took a step back, what you're really getting into now, like, because I love what you're doing now.
Well, I've always had a desire to be involved in one way or the other in the movie industry. And I was thinking back, and I had a little. I didn't bring it. I was going to bring it to you. I wrote my first story when I was 17, and not very many people know about that. And I actually have the book of it.
Wow!
Oddly to say, it was a story. It was an action adventure missionary story of a missionary family having to escape Nicaragua, because at the time that was what was going on in my life. That was happening. But I was fortunate to have a business partner, my current business partner, who let me explore things over the years. I mean, I've during September 11th, I was actually in California when that hit, attending a 1-month filmmaking course, because my business partner always supported me. He said, "Yeah, go do that stuff." I'm kind of get bored easy, so I have to keep moving on. I mean, I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yes.
And so I was very fortunate to that. So I've been pretty much dabbling with this since, I would say, 2000. Was able to film our first film in 2010 when it was released in 2012, which was a lot of fun. It's a hard work and requires a lot of talent to get it done. But fortunately, we have a lot of those people in Texas and Louisiana and Nashville too.
So talk about 2010, you decide you're going to do a movie. How does that even work? What if there's somebody watching that says, I always wanted to do a movie. What do they need to do? Just do it? Like get out their iPhone and start filming? Or
well, I'll tell you what I did, which is maybe not be the same route. Shreveport, Louisiana was having all kinds of films coming in after Katrina hit in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And so I just started, doing all the extra work I could do. I think I played a dead man on Battle Los Angeles for 2 weeks. I was a pay grade above the dummy in front of me. But it was fun. I mean, I got to meet some of the talent there, and I got a real hands-on view of how the bigger productions work, which there's
Wow.
ours is nowhere near that, but it was really
Right.
really a cool experience, and I got to meet people there and see how it pretty much works. I finally bit the bullet and started probably in 2008 or something like that. Said, okay, I have an idea for a script, but I'm not a script writer. At least I've always had someone help me whenever I have a story because I think that they bring something I don't have. But so
Right.
I was able to contract a local producer who was also a casting director named Tara. I'm going to get her name wrong, so forgive that. Forgive me, Tara. And she contracted Molly to help her as well. They were both produced the first film, and we contracted Robert Orr to direct and write the script, which he did. And that's how the first film, because the first film was really the main characters are two. I was one of them. I was a doctor who lost his family in a car wreck where another young lady was drunk driving. So,
Wow.
uh, so which was kind of funny. After Kara told me that, I didn't know that about Kara when I saw her interview. That's how her dad had passed away.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
Wow.
Um, but that was a good experience, and what it basically gave me, it hooked me a little bit more after doing the first one because it's like an adrenaline rush, especially when you're on set and you're filming, and so it was a fun experience.
You strike me as, in the little bit of time that we hung out, or because I was one of the star. I mean, I'm sorry, I was one of the extras in Grumpy Old Santa. I don't know. Glenn and I were doing a show, and I said, Glenn, I'm a movie star now, and he's like, yes. And ever since you became one, you've been. There's some words I'd like to use to describe you: insufferable, arrogant. And I said, come on, man, I'm just playing. But you strike me as a very humble person, but someone that really wants to change the world. Almost, it feels like that's kind of the energy you put out. Bridget's so funny. But you seem like you want to make this big splash in the world.
Well, I I don't know how to answer that, Ken. You got me. Uh, I think what I want, really what I want for me is I'd love to see East Texas in particular get a piece of the entertainment pie. I think we're underserved. We don't always get to show our culture. It's a
Right.
wonderful culture. I love living in East Texas. It's just a loving place, and I know there's a lot of other places in this country that are the same way. I guess it's small town USA, and I don't. Technology's changed enough that there's no reason why we can't be producing films in our area and producing them on a regular basis. And I really think that for me, that's what I want. I'd like to see us doing one a year. Um, that's the goal. It's
do do me a favor, explain to the audience, because and I got to figure out how to ask this exactly. So there is a hierarchy in a movie production, right? There's the main guy is the producer, is that right?
well,
How does it work?
I think it really depends on whether an independent film is probably a little bit different than the big budgets.
Okay.
But usually there's an executive producer who is, these are the money guys.
Okay.
And then the producer, and there may be, this is probably a good Micah question because most of my experience has been in independence, but the producer is basically running the show. He's putting all the pieces together. The executive producer like any investor, has a lot of say on what can and can't be done.
Okay.
But and so if the producer had a boss, it would be the executive producer. But in an ideal situation, the producer's the one that's going to make most of the decisions
Okay.
when it comes to hiring and I guess managing everything while you're filming, before and after too, because now we're in post, and there's still pieces that have to be put together. Actually, quite a bit of pieces. And then the director on the set is basically, it's supposed to be their vision of the script. In the case of Grumpy Old Santa, I was very fortunate because I had several people who have directed before, because this is my directing debut, and they were very helpful, from Jeff to Micah to David. All have directed stuff before, and Glenn, of course, was always a big help.
Yeah.
I mean, he has so much experience, and he brought that to set. And if he didn't think something was working, he helped us tweak it, and he obviously did a lot of good tweaking. And I think that we will have a better film because of it.
Yeah, I think. Well, what I saw, we're talking about the film Grumpy Old Santa. Glenn said that's the working title.
Right.
Grumpy Old Santa, whatever that means.
That's what we're calling it for now, but that may not be how it's released. We don't know that yet.
Right. So the first part is somebody writes a script, right? Or at least has an idea for a script and starts putting that together. I find it interesting. It sounds to me like a lot of, look who's on here. Oh,
Hey,
look who's
Kara's
watching. Kara. So it sounds to me like a lot of time and money goes into making a movie before the movie ever even is like, okay, we're going to do this. Like, there's time and money that goes into it before you ever even say, okay, we're going to do this movie.
Yeah, I think the most difficult part to begin with is to actually get a story that's compelling enough to make a movie out of it.
Right.
And I'll give you a little bit of insight on Grumpy Old Santa. Me and my co-writer Justin, we started off in a totally different direction than where it ended up. At first, it was two old Santas, and they were rotating Santas on a Christmas light park.
Wow.
And we sent it out to get it tested, and they come back and said you can do this if you want, but and all the notes they gave us were really good, and they were right on. They said this could be anything. It's not a Christmas movie, is basically what they said. And so we went back to the drawing board, and we rewrote the script. We had a lot of the same characters, but we rewrote the script. This time it was a golf movie.
A what?
It was a golf movie.
Goth, G-O-T-H?
Yeah, a golf. It was a golf tournament called.
Oh, golf. Okay, golf. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And it was okay, but we sent it out to get, okay, what would it cost to make, and got the shock of our life.
Really?
Okay, we got to rewrite this again. And so we were looking, okay, we can rewrite, we can make mini golf or miniature golf, but we could maybe do that and get away with it. And I said, what about bowling? And I tell you, bowling, and when we started rewriting towards bowling, it was just so much funnier. So, yeah, we went through 4 rewrites before we got to the bowling aspect of it. But bowling turned out to be the best one of all of them.
And this is before you ever decided, okay, we are going to make a movie.
Well, yeah, I was talking to Micah on the first version. Micah read, the producer, Micah. He read the first version. He got someone to read it, to give us some notes of what could change and make it better. And so we were going to make this. The plan was always to make it. We just didn't have the script where it needed to be until probably, I'd say, September, October.
Wow. So okay. Many years of running a business, right? In in the telecom industry, um, was as you were building that business, running that business, and going through the ups and downs of that. I mean, that by itself is it can be tumultuous, right? But
Roller coaster
did
ride.
you always have that thing in your like, I got to make movies. This I hate this. I got to make movies. Maybe not. I hate this, but did you ever
Well,
feel, was there that burning desire like I got to make movies?
yes, and I wouldn't say it was a hate because I
Yeah.
really the people I work with at NCIC are wonderful people, and I'm blessed that because of that group I am able to explore these avenues, including my business partner and all my coworkers at NCIC. But yes, unfortunately for them, or fortunate for them, I've had the bug for quite a while, and you know
Wow.
it's not an easy industry to break into either. So, but this is going to be the one. I believe that this is going to be the one.
This is a good film. This is really a great, it's a great film. So okay, 2010 you did the first movie, and you were the, what were you? What was your role?
I was the executive producer. All the films I've
Okay.
been executive producers on, but in the
Okay.
first one, I wasn't the main character. Rachel Boston was the main character, the young lady, and I was the co-star. I played the crazy doctor that kidnaps her. There's a lot more to the story. I want if somebody wants to watch it, you have to watch it to the end, or you may not like it because it looks. Unfortunately, I think the trailer that the distributor cut makes it look more like a horror film when it's really not a horror film.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
that's just the way it goes sometimes. Um, lesson learned. Yeah, Ray likes it. That's Ray. He said great movie. Thank you, buddy. He says that's his favorite. And then
Really?
2014, we did a second film. I had maybe a 30-second acting part in that, but most of that when I was just a executive producer, which basically means the money on that one. Yes, Rachel Boston.
That's my wife. You met my
Oh,
wife.
okay. Yeah. Hey, Jill. Good to see you. And then the third one was in the last two I did before Grupo Santa were done in Nashville. And so I did the second one was Chasing Ghosts, which is a story about a young man who accidentally captures a ghost on camera and becomes a YouTube sensation. It's kind of a drama comedy. It had Tim Meadows in it. It was a pretty good film. And then the third one we did is called Cecil, which was about a young man who had a speech impediment, and it was based on the director, Spencer's the director, uh, based loosely on his life, and he was a real big Michael Jordan fan when he was growing up. But anyway, it's a kids movie, and I play the evil principal in that one that's selling all the funds. I always play bad guys for some reason.
Yeah. Like, what's that all about?
Character cast, yeah,
So, okay, crazy. Just out of left field question
sure.
for an independent film. What, you said you're the money guy on these. I'm not asking for exact, but ballpark. What's it take to fund a movie project, an independent film like this? I mean, you hear about the Tom Cruise movies being, $100 million, and like,
They spend more at lunch than we do on the whole thing.
that's
That's
awesome.
probably true.
Wow.
In the indie world is different in that we can't we have to work in a very small arena. What
Yeah.
am I trying to say here? Um, you can make an indie film for 5,000. You can make an indie film for 5 million. I
Whoa.
am nowhere in the million ballpark. I would say the average budget of the four films, if you put them all together, for me it's been about 250,000 each. If you
Wow.
average them all four,
Good Lord have mercy.
yeah,
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it is.
Well, my wife has given me some ultimatums. Come on, you got to make this work.
So okay, so you do this whole film, you put all this together, you and I'm just saying a film, not any film in
Right.
particular, um, and you get the talent, you get the people, the actors, the actresses to come in, you get somebody to scream quiet on the set. Um, Sorry, I had to, Bridget. I love Bridget. She's awesome. But you know, you've got because I look. That was my very first time ever being on a movie set, and I was like, "This is unbelievable!" I couldn't believe like people walking around carrying boom mics, and you've got. She says, "I do more than yell." But like you know, you've got a lot of things happening, all at once, and so you put all of this together. You go into production afterwards. You do the editing, right? That's going to take some time. Obviously, I'm an editor. I know what it takes. Um, and and then what? Like Warner Brothers call you and say we want to buy that from you for
Well,
$1 trillion, or
that would be great if they want to. I'll give them my number anytime. I wish it was that easy, but that is, it's like any product. We have to go out and sell it. I mean, I think right now we have two options, and there's some direct distribution solutions, or you go out and find a distributor. And I think what will happen this time will be we will explore options. I'm I've gone the distributor route 3 times, and the biggest problem with distributors is if you don't get the right one. I got burned twice, by the way. Two of my distributors basically filed Chapter 11 or Chapter 7, I think. So yeah.
oh,
So it is what it is. The third one is it's doing okay, but the first two, yeah, I got hammered.
ouch.
But live and learn. So I'm learning.
So when you get burnt like that,
Hmm.
is there I mean you're out all the money you invested in the film?
Well, it's a good tax write-off, I guess. But
A
yeah,
quarter of $1 million, that's a big tax write-off.
yeah. Unfortunately, sorry about that. I moved that.
That's all right.
Well, I mean, I still have the film out there, and like for example, Blind Turn. That's no longer being. It's still out there. You can still see
What
it.
what is it?
Blind Turn, the first one.
Okay.
It's still on. I think you can still watch it on Prime Video or something like that. But I could try and re-release it. And which is something I've considered doing, is trying to get it all back and try to re-release it. And some of it may depend on what happens with the Grumpy Old Santa. I mean, I maybe if I decide to do a direct distribution of some sort, then maybe I'll bring those films back under a private label.
What's that mean, a direct distribution? I don't know.
There's I guess they call them aggregators, where instead of you can pay to be listed on like the streaming services. You're
Got
going
it.
through them, and it's either paid or a percentage of the revenue, rather than having a distributor going out and selling to
Yeah.
all the different markets. But again, I think what's really going to decide that on it's going to be what people are willing to offer to distribute the film. I mean, it'd be great if someone like HBO Max or somebody like that said, "Hey, we'll give you X amount, and we'll give you enough to make your next movie too." I'll say, "Okay, that'd work."
Or does Lifetime do stuff like that, or?
They do. I'm not 100% certain, and it may be. I guess we'll see the edit, but they do purchase films sometimes from independents. I think we'll know more of our options once we're ready to go out there and start pushing it.
Wow.
Micah has some people that he's talked to in the past, and I have a couple of friends that are distributors too. We'll see what happens, but yeah, my experience with distributors has not been good.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But it is Coca-Cola versus some unknown brand, and they're taking risks when they take on a film. They're going to
Yeah.
limit their exposures like anyone else can. That's why my thought is, well, be your own distributor maybe. So that may be the way we go. I'm not sure yet.
Is that where what are those things called? Um indie film what are they? Like
Indie films.
where they all get together and are they trying to sell their film festivals? What is a film?
Yeah, film festival is one way to go. I probably wouldn't go that route. Probably what I would be doing is submitting it through one of these services that pushes it out to all the streaming services.
Okay.
But like Amazon, you can get a film on Amazon Prime. They take 50% of whatever whatever revenue is collected, but you can get on Amazon. And there's a couple others that way. Usually, you go to an aggregator that does all that for you, and then you have to spend money like everything else. You got to, I've heard it said once, you almost have to spend as much marketing as you did making your film to recover your money. I've never gone that route before, but that may be the route we have to go this time, because if they're not willing to, here's my thought: if someone's not willing to at least put in as much as I'm put in, then maybe they don't need to be handling the film. I mean, that's
Right.
where I'm at this time, because I've been burned a couple of times.
Well, that's only about $500,000. You'll be all right.
Yeah, right.
I'm just kidding. So, hey, and by the way, I'm an Amazon influencer and I'm allowed to live stream on Amazon, like to their customers. So once you get it to Amazon, we'll do a live stream on Amazon and
that'd be
promote it
great.
out to all their customers. Yeah. So, and Bridget says that she's right. Marketing is key. 1,000% agree with that. That it's the key to anything in business, right? So what are some of the other without giving away, you don't have to give away the farm, but what are some of the other films and ideas? I mean, Bridget said something right here. I just want this to do well enough to do the sequel. That would be fun.
It would be great. And honestly, my co-writer already has some notes for the sequel. I said, well, we have to wait and see how this one goes first. But yeah, that'd be great.
I'll tell you, just the little bit of time I spent watching Glenn and Kevin Farley work together. Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is going to be a great movie.
They really have chemistry together. They really
geez, that was phenomenal, man. Those two they were funny. So funny.
And I thought Twinkie did pretty good too. I had to mention Twinkie since I think she's watching.
Who's Twinkie?
Kara.
Oh, oh my God. She was awesome. Yeah, oh my gosh. Everybody, Kimberly, like everybody on that set was just absolutely, again, it's my only experience on a movie set. So maybe they're all like that, but I thought everybody was just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I haven't really had a bad experience on set. On the 4 films that I've been involved, even the bigger ones that I was involved in, everybody was friendly and hardworking. But Grupo Santa seemed like we became a family quickly, which is pretty cool. And having Glenn on set doesn't hurt either, because he's such such an uplifter, lifting people up and always encouraging people, and that also helped. But we had a good cast, good crew, and
yeah,
it was a great experience.
So let me what are some of the other things you've got coming, or that you hope to have?
Well, right now I just got ideas. One of them is, I'll just give you a picture. One of them is Junkyard Heroes, which is a comedy, comedy of people that become superheroes by accident, and they're basically watching a football game in the back of their pickup truck that's been turned into a hot tub, and a little meteorite pops into the trunk, and they become superheroes, and East Texas style. That's one
Wow.
concept, but now someone else will take and run with it. That's okay. They'll run with it.
Well, you don't spill all the beans.
No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no.
They don't know where that meteorite came from.
That's
So,
right. That's right. That,
so let me ask you this. So you've been in business, you said coming up on 27 years in your telecom company. Um, I've been through, cause I've been in technology for almost 30 years, website development and all kinds of stuff for almost 30 years. And I've seen so many ups and downs, man. I've seen, just times when I was like, I can't even make payroll this week. And I've had to call employees together and go, hey, we're going to get you next week when somebody pays their bill. Like, talk about, go back to the business, the ups and downs, and talk about what are some of the things that helped you push through those tough times and eventually find success. Because I'm sure you weren't, well, unless I could be wrong, but I would imagine you weren't an overnight success.
no, I wasn't an overnight success, and we had lots of ups and downs during NCIC's growth. In particular, one of the hardest things you have to do is let people go. We had to let people go on occasion.
Yeah.
I mean, we were pretty close to shutting the door one time.
Wow.
And I remember in a particular case where we didn't even know about it, but one of my accountants noticed that we didn't have enough funds to cover payroll if she took her check, and she decided to hold off on hers a couple of weeks so we could make payroll. And we didn't find out about it till probably a year later. So I think one of the reasons we were able to survive is because we had a family. I mean, it really was a family that were willing to fight and put everything on the line with us, and they did. And when we've all done well because of it, including my coworkers. But I think surround yourself with people who care about your future and their future, and you care about their future. I think you can go a long ways. So I give a lot of credit to the people that me and my business partner have working with us.
How do you develop, or what do you attribute to building that kind of loyalty with people who are there to collect a paycheck? Honestly, I mean, a lot of people are, they're I got to have a job, I got to make money. What do you attribute your success to in that arena?
I think that it was just being honest. It really has been a family. People have a say, and when things are good for the company, things are good for them, and that really is the case. And I think having been that way when things got rough, they remember the good times and say, okay, when it was good, we got to participate. When it's tough, now we may have to all squeeze back a little. And one of the things we learned, and especially after we have that layoff, is don't overextend yourself. And I think when you're a young company, sometimes you overextend yourself. Your glass is not half full; it's all the way full, no matter what. That's the mentality. But as you get older, you learn. Okay, you gotta. Yes, the glass can be half full, but you probably don't want to put too much more in that glass to where it's overflowing with the wrong stuff. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think that's one of the things we learned over the year is it's okay to move a little slower, because when you're young, you want to move fast, hard, and jump at everything. And then you get older and business wise, things tend to slow down a little bit, but then become more stable.
Right.
And I think that goes with my coworkers or my family, NCIC family in particular. It's been that way. They don't need anyone standing over the show. They know how to do the job, but they do it. They do it as if it was their company, because in a way it is.
Yeah.
I mean, what's pretty cool is to watch some of your coworkers now. Their kids are coming to work with them, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, you know, I always find it shocking to hear that, you know, someone decided on their own to leave this world. Um, you know, and during the pandemic and like suicide rates skyrocketed. And I can remember having, and I've told this story, having a car repoed in front of all my employees. They were all getting paid, but I wasn't. Right. And it was one of those moments where I was like, what's the point of even being here? Like I was just humiliated. And at that point where I just felt like I couldn't take anymore. What would you say to people watching that may be at the end of their rope? Like they don't know what else to do. They've tried everything, and they just can't seem to make it work. What do you say to somebody that's just hanging on by a string?
Been there for sure. Um, like I said, we almost had to close our doors. I think sometimes you just need to take a break, sit down, get in some silence, and in my case, I go to my faith and say, okay, if it's not meant for me to be here, then take it away and open the next door. Um, and I'll use the example of NCIC. When this happened, when we almost had to close our doors, it ended up pushing us in a direction that if we had not been moved to, we would probably not be in business today. And so I think God often uses those things that we're holding on too much. He wants us to loosen our hands first because He's got something better for you. And in my case, that's exactly what happened. Or in the company's case, that's exactly what happened. Close one door and open up a huge door.
How many people though hang on to that? You know, like,
It's
no.
sometimes you have to be beat down so hard that you don't want it anymore. I mean, I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Yeah.
you just have to. Okay, I'm there now. What's next? Failure. I think we learn more from our failures than we do from our wins.
1,000%.
Because our wins, yeah, they're nice, but yeah, I just think that's where we learn them from. You learn what you're made of when you've been kicked down a lot, and you learn what the people around you are made of too. And I go back to the question about what's different. I think really, and the company we created was when things were down, people stuck together, and we had a common enemy or a common goal, and the common goal was to survive. So that's right. With God's grace, and we survived, and we went through a new door, and that new door was much bigger.
Wow. See, that's awesome. What's next for you, man?
Going on vacation next week. Is that
Yeah. Are you?
I love cruising, so I'm going to do some cruising next week. So
Cruise like on a cruise ship?
yeah, I'm a big cruise ship fan, so I'll be cruising on Sunday actually.
Wow.
Probably start working on another story when I get back. Right now I have all these ideas in my head, but I'm ready to do another one.
Wow.
In maybe explore some different alternative, maybe a series. I've thought about a series. So don't have specifics. I mean, I have a lot of ideas, and that's usually how I work. I'll spitball a lot of ideas, and then one will start landing over and over again.
Wow.
Then me and Justin will get online, and now Ray's going to be Ray. Actually, you've met Ray.
Yeah, I love Ray.
Yeah, Ray's going to help us write this next script too. He's got some good ideas. So other than that, just keep on living. Travel and make movies. That's what I want to do now.
Well, I gotta say that I think my mother-in-law's on a cruise literally right now. She just left a few days ago. But your kindness and hospitality, and here you are, the director of this movie, and I bring my family out, and you were so nice and kind to to everyone. It was just a good guy. And your church out there, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was.
Right.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
To end
Really
cool.
special. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to tell everybody about the church thing?
Yeah. Well,
a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. We actually had to reshoot a church scene because of some casting changes. But what ended up happening, it ended up being the very last scene that we were going to film of the whole movie, which made it that much cooler. So we got to we redid it, and it was great. And then we had Glenn and Kara singing in the four-way there afterwards, which was actually kind of cool. But it was just a good place to end it.
Yeah. Was amazing. Was absolutely amazing. I can't wait for this film to come out. Not because I was bowling next to Glenn and Kara, but because, but more because I just think it is an absolutely wonderful movie. I think it's going to be incredible, and I predict it's going to be a massive hit.
I think there's no reason why it couldn't be, because I think it has all the elements of a good film.
It really does. I agree. Well, Jay, I really appreciate you coming on today. Where can everybody follow you? What's the best place to follow you? Learn more about the movies you're making, or anything?
I think that I have a fan page for me, and you can, which is Jay Dee Walters. I have a fan page there. Or I set up one for Grumpy Old Santa if you want to just follow the film, which is on Facebook as well.
Is there a website? It's
grumpyoldSanta.com.
Grumpy. I'm going to put that up on screen.
Doesn't have much on it yet, but it will in the future.
Okay. So grumpyoldsanta.com, right there. Awesome. Jay, you're a good man. I look forward to seeing what you have coming.
Appreciate you, Ken. It's always a pleasure.
Likewise, man. Likewise. So stay with me. I'm going to end the live stream. Thank you to everybody who's been on here, and thank you to everyone who shared this out. There are extra bonus points for you somewhere. Jay might have you come out and be an extra in a movie or something if you shared this. So thank you guys. Jay, thanks so much. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks everybody for joining us.